We're joined now by the Director of Athletics at the Bloomfield Hills School District, Mike Cowdrey, with us on the Oakland County Megacast. Mike, thank you for being with us today. We appreciate having you.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
How are you? How's your team at Bloomfield Hills Schools?
We're excited to be back working out again. It's been a long time. The kids were excited to get back out there. We put a lot of guidelines in place with the help of the state organization, MHSAA, and our athletic team at Bloomfield Hills Schools. The kids have really complied with that, and we're back at it. It's a lot of fun to be back out at it.
Running fall athletics for a high school or for a school district rather is tough enough in regular times. Fall's a really busy season. There's a lot of action going on. The spectator sports are heavily in place, like football and soccer most notably. It's one of the most anticipated times of the year for prep sports, if not the most. How much more of a challenge is it now to prepare for fall sports, given all the regulations and guidelines that need to be in place for COVID, than it already is in the challenges of a regular school year?
Right. So, a regular school year, people just take it for granted, and we show up and we're high-fiving and we're hugging and you're doing all the things that, teenage kids do when they see each other. Nowadays, we're coming in, and first thing our kids do is pull out their cell phone, and they go to the QR code station where we're all social distance. We're wearing masks when we show up, and we go to that QR code, and it prompts us to a questionnaire that all of our kids have to fill out along with our coaches and anybody that's at the facility. It walks you through a questionnaire, seeing if you've come in contact with anybody with COVID, if you're following good hygiene, if you've had a temperature, any of those things that would maybe put you at risk. If all those answers come back that you're clear and you're good to go, then they can go to our trainer where he takes your temperature. And as long as you're under that threshold and you're not at risk, you get to continue on to the playing surface. And then you get to go out and walk to your station where you wait, social distance, and we have that all marked out so people know where they can go and drop their bags and their water, which they're providing themselves nowadays. And then they wait until it's time to engage in activity. At that point, they drop their masks, they go out to the playing surface, and they go through their conditioning or route running if it's football, and our quarterback can throw balls to them and all of that sort of thing. But as soon as we go back to break, then they go back to their social distance, put on their mask, drink their water, obviously not through their mask, but we require them to put that mask back on. Those are all differences from years past where kids are milling around and they're close and they're socially engaging. It's a lot different. But what I've seen is that these kids adapt very quickly. They understand the routine after one time. And because of the seriousness of this COVID, our kids have really complied with our rules. And they understand if we don't follow those rules, as well as our coaches, we're not going to be there because we're not going to put people at risk. So it's just a lot different. Sports is great because it's socially interactive. And we're doing that from a distance now. And it's just a little bit weird.
Coach, football is a contact sport. So how do you play football and remain socially distant?
Yeah, at this point, we don't. We go through drills, which we don't play defense against our receivers right now. We don't have people in close proximity to one another when we're doing our conditioning. Football has a big surface that they play on. So right now, a lot of it's conditioning or route running, and we can do that with 5-10 yards in between everybody. So that's how we're acting right now and how we're moving forward. In the future, when we get the clearance from the government and MHSAA that says that now we can play some defense and we can become in close contact again, that's when we'll do those things. But at this point, we absolutely are not doing that.
In terms of other contact sports, I think of soccer. That's also a contact sport that is a fall sport. Any changes on that front too? Because that can get often physical with people bodying each other up. But at this point in time, I would assume that that's also very much a distance sport where you're kicking and dribbling between people and you're not really getting into the heavy scrimmaging at all. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. We'll talk about spacing on the field, and then they can do their individual skill work on their own, which this time of year, that's what we're doing a lot of anyways, because we're not running full-fledged practices. We're doing skill work, trying to develop those skills for each individual player. And that can all be done on their own. dribbling and passing, you can maintain social distance without issue. And our volleyball team, same thing. They're coming out and they're working on their skill, and they're doing it outside because we can't go into the gym. So we've set up a couple volleyball courts out in the grass area on one of our practice fields, and our coach has got volleyball players out there going through the drill work, maintaining social distance. We're passing, and you can hit off of a pass and things of that nature, but we're not getting together, and we're not breaking those COVID regulations, which say stay social distance. Our cross country team, they show up every morning. They're out there running, but they are doing all their stretches, all of their running, maintaining social distancing. That is very important. We're going to make sure that we follow those regulations and make sure we're not putting anybody at risk.
Strength is a huge element. Developing strength is a huge element of particularly the contact sports like football and soccer, but even other sports that require extra strength like cross country, especially lower body and core strength, and same with volleyball. Are the weight rooms at the schools available and open for these athletes? Are they going to be operating soon, or is the district waiting to see what happens both with the governor's regulations as well as that of the MHSAA?
Yeah, so right now, none of the weight rooms or gyms, any indoor facilities are not open. So any of the strength and conditioning aspect of our training that's being done outside with either bands or body weight. We have a wonderful strength and conditioning coach that's working with some of our teams, and he's taken us through a lot of body weight exercises and running and things that you can do without weight equipment. Right now, the MHSAA and the government does not allow us to get inside and utilize those facilities. So we're not doing it. And when we do get to that point where we're allowed to go inside, we're going to monitor how many go at a time. Like we'll set a district standard of like 10 people in the weight room at a time. We'll take them through in groups. When they're done, we'll sterilize all of the equipment. We'll clean it up, get the next group ready to come in, and that's how we're going to operate for now.
So many of these student athletes rely on sports to help get scholarships for college. How is this going to impact that? Will it hurt some of the students and their chances?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's already impacted quite a few of the spring sport athletes. Some of those juniors who are now going to be seniors, they didn't have a chance to go out and showcase what they can do this past spring and garner the interest of some of these coaches. In addition to, some of the coaches the NCAA, the restrictions are such that they can't get out and go recruiting right now. So yeah, it's impacting our athletes tremendously. And, I just think about all the seniors who lost their spring season and how devastating that is for some of those kids who still wanted to gain some interest from colleges and be able to go on and play. And that was unable to happen. So, until we find out what's going to happen with the fall sports, if we're going to be able to compete or not, which I certainly hope we are, and that's how we're preparing. Once we get back out playing, then that will help those kids, hopefully, live out their dreams of getting a college scholarship or interest from a college and being able to go to compete at the next level.
Some parents, Mike Cowdrey with us, the director of athletics at Bloomfield Hills Schools, some parents may be hesitant to let their kids play. Some kids may even be hesitant to play sports and decide, I'm going to take a semester off. I'm going to take a year off of sports until this is all well and past us. Any concerns that there will be less involvement in athletics in the fall or throughout the year? And what do you have to say to those parents and kids who may be a little apprehensive right now about engaging in athletics at this time?
Yeah, so all I can say is that everybody has their own emotions, their own feelings around this issue. And whatever those feelings and emotions are, they're legitimate. And you can't minimize how people feel or tell them everything's okay, because we certainly do not know. We don't know what is going to be, and what's in store for us in the future. But what I can say is we're going to take every precaution in Bloomfield Hills when we're getting kids back on the playing surface. We're going to follow all the guidelines set forth by, our government and the MHSAA and our school district to make sure that we're not putting these kids in any more, putting them any more at risk than is necessary. We're going to take every precaution to keep them safe and healthy. If we have somebody that is a risk, we're not going to put them out there. We're going to follow all of our guidelines. But, do I think it's going to minimize some of the numbers? It certainly could. I think that, what I've heard from parents that I've spoken with, there's some concern about going back to school in the fall if we do that. And if they want their children to go, some, not all. I happen to coach a summer baseball team, and I'm now in week 3 of weekend tournaments. And honestly, what I've seen at youth sports tournaments, baseball is normal. It's everybody's happy to be back at it, and it doesn't seem to be impacting what I'm seeing on the field.
The MHSAA, we talked to John Johnson last week about about this whole process of reacclimating fall sports and getting back to this new understanding that we're in with regards to COVID-19 in relation to athletics. He had mentioned, and I asked him about the chance of spectator sports being impacted in the fall, and really all these sports in the fall season are spectator sports. Soccer definitely is, football definitely is, even cross country is a spectator sport to a certain extent. There haven't been any decisions made at the MHSAA level regarding restricting or reducing or further spreading out spectators. In Bloomfield Hills, have any decisions been made about allowing or disallowing fans and parents and families in the stands at these games, or distancing measures that may be in place at your stadiums at Bloomfield Hills High School?
Not as of yet. Obviously we take our lead from MHSAA, and we're going to follow any guidelines that they set forth. Until then, we're going to take every precaution for, like in our trainings. Our track and our main stadium and our athletic facilities outdoors right now are closed down Monday through Friday from 7:30 until 1 every day, so that our athletes are not at risk from community members or parents who are coming to watch or walk around the track or whatever. We don't allow that right now because we want only our student athletes there, so we can monitor who's there and make sure we're keeping kids safe.
And just to follow up on that, in terms of other cleaning that's going on of those facilities, you mentioned 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. every day closed to the public. Beyond that, any sort of deep cleaning or further cleaning other than normal that it's going on to make sure that any surfaces at those locations and in the dugouts and so on are also clean as well?
Yeah, any surface that, any ball that's being used, we clean it periodically throughout workouts. So we sterilize those, disinfect, I should say, not sterilize. And we just do our best to keep our surfaces clean so that our kids aren't coming in contact or minimizing the amount of contact they would have with such a virus. It's strange, to say the least, that we have to do these things because we've taken it for granted for years that we don't. But when you get done running routes with a quarterback receiver group, then you have to clean those balls, and they're leather balls. So then what do? You treat them with some leather conditioner so that they don't dry up and get ruined. But yeah, hard surfaces, any countertop that the kids are touching on their way through by the trainer station and whatnot, we're sterilizing those. Every kid that comes in after they get their temperature checked and have shown our trainer that they're approved through our QR code process, they get sanitizer sprayed on their hands and they have to rub them together. So they're cleaning themselves before they walk in. So it's just a different time. We're taking a lot of precaution, and it's real nice to get those kids out there, but we're doing it differently than we've done in the past.
Mike Cowdrey, the Director of Athletics at Bloomfield Hills High School, thank you for being with us today. Anything else you have to say, or anything else you'd like to touch on before we let you go?
I just appreciate all the parents and the kids who are looking forward to athletics and coming back out and working out. It's good to see everybody out there running around, and I'd like to thank all of our team at Bloomfield Hills. Avis Nager, our athletic coordinator at the high school, John Seco, our athletic trainer, who is invaluable, and he has really worked his tail off. He is volunteering his summer hours to be there to make sure that we meet all the criteria before our kids step on that playing surface to keep everybody safe. These guys have really gone above and beyond, and I'm just lucky to be part of a great group and a great school district, and it's good to see the kids out there, and I'm looking forward to having some football, some soccer, cross country, volleyball, swimming, all of those things this coming fall. And I think the kids need it in their life. I know I do.
Yeah, we all do. Sports is huge for a lot of people in this local area, especially for our local student athletes. Thank you very much for being with us today, Mike Cowdrey, Director of Athletics at Bloomfield Hills Schools.
Thank you very much.